All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Drive Profits with Customer Data. My name is Catherine Martin, and I'm with Rick Software, and I'll be your moderator for today's event. We have an exciting webinar ahead of you today, but before we get started, there's a few things I want to cover. Today's webinar will be recorded and made available to you after the event. Also, feel free to tweet us during the event at Rick Software. You can share the recording after the event as well on social media. For a better viewing experience, all lines are muted. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat box. But due to time constraints, we will answer all questions via email following the webinar. I believe that covers all of the small details, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Patrick to get started.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining today's webinar about using customer data to increase your profits. We have recognized retailers' needs of effectively communicating with their customers to improve customer retention and drive traffic to their stores. To help address that problem, Rix has recently entered a partnership with ChatterSpot to provide a solution to our clients that enables them to maximize the value of customer data in Rix. We felt ChatterSpot was a great fit for Rix and for our retailers because they provide the ability to send messages through both email and text. And they have personalization capabilities that increases the effectiveness of each message. We hope that after this presentation, you see the value that we see in this new solution and reach out to us to get started. So I'd like to introduce both myself and my co-presenter. My name is Patrick Miller with Rick Software, and I am the Product Solution Manager. So in my role, I work with both partners and clients for anything related to integration. That can be scoping and developing new integrations, enhancing the value of existing integrations, and helping clients implement the integrations that we have. So I'll hand it over to Bryant for a quick intro of his role.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bryant Regier. I'm the VP of Sales for ChatterSpot. My primary role is to interface with our customers on a day-to-day basis and make sure that they are aware of what the best practices in marketing are today. There's lots of new innovative forms of marketing that we have come up with, and they're extremely powerful. And so I like to do as much consulting as I can and provide advice and best practices so that you guys can see the best return on your investment in ChatterSpot as well as all marketing.
Thanks, Brian. So a quick overview of Rick Software. We are a retail management solution that has been in business for over 35 years. And in that time, we have stayed in business and made a concerted effort to essentially adapt and evolve with our clients' needs and expectations. We have done that by making sure we have the right people in place to help us do that. So we bring in people with retail backgrounds to provide direction for where we should go, and also inform our clients to effectively use our application. And we have a technology team that is tasked with developing the solution, adding features and integrations to our platform to, again, help our clients really achieve their objectives and run their business as effectively as possible. So I'll hand it off back to Brian just to give a quick overview of ChatterSpot.
Thanks, Patrick. So ChatterSpot was founded back in 2005. So we've been around almost 12 years now. We literally in the last week or so have moved our corporate from Dallas up to Salt Lake City, Utah. So now we're up here. We've got several customers in different industries. So some of our larger customers are Sprint PCS and Verizon Wireless. We're in several thousand wireless locations, wireless retail locations, several restaurants, many running stores like yourself. So we're definitely, our application is used and it's very applicable regardless of the vertical. definitely retail focused though. We're a leader in consumer lifecycle management, so I think we'll definitely get more into those details through the presentation. You'll really understand how we can help the product lifecycle of shoes or clothing, so you'll understand that. The approach that we take is omni-channel, and we know that each customer likes to be communicated to in a different method, and so we try to be an omni-channel solution to make sure that incorporates all of your customers. And the integration that we have with Rix is very powerful because we're able to leverage all of the data that's in the point of sale, not just customer data, but also like purchase history data. And so that in conjunction with marketing can really yield powerful results. I think you're going to be pretty impressed with our application and the integration with Rix.
So here's an overview of the topics that we're going to cover in today's webinar. We're going to start with talking about customer retention and how to communicate with customers and how that brings value to you as a retailer and can help bring in business. We'll talk about how you can maximize the customer data that's in Rix, and then Bryant will give an overview of the ChatterSpot solution. So starting with retention and communication, we want to share some insight that we've gathered about the value that can bring you and focusing on using strategies and tools for customer retention and communication to bring in customers to your store and increase sales. Starting with customer loyalty and customer retention driving sales, we feel that's really important for retailers like you because a loyal customer and a repeat customer is much more valuable than a new customer. So we found that on a per visit basis, repeat customers spend more money than a new customer does in each visit. Another way of looking at it is the value of the customer over the lifespan of the customer. So instead of just looking at any one individual purchase or the initial purchase of a customer who becomes a loyal customer, their overall value to you is much higher when you look at it from that perspective. So one of the ways that you can help achieve customer retention and develop customer loyalty within your customer base is through personalized communication. We've seen that over time that's become the norm and expectation of customers. So a large percentage of customers now are at the point where they expect and prefer personalized and relevant communication with their shopping experience. And when we refer to shopping experience, it's more than just the experience they have when they're in the store. It's any engagement that the customer has with your brand or any time that you're trying to reach out to the customer. That's all part of their experience now. And when you're able to personalize and make the content you're delivering relevant to them, that increases the chances that they will become loyal and continue to shop at your store. And in addition to the personalized and relevant content, we think that the actual delivery of the content that you are sending out to customers is important. And customers now really value the engagement through their preferred method of communication. And so that can be anything from email to text, and in some cases still direct mail. So a way of personalizing your marketing to your customers is by taking advantage of their preferred method of communication. So now moving into maximizing the customer data in Rix. We want to touch on this because it's really important that you take great care to actually enter and use the data in Rix so that you're able to market to your customers effectively. Because the customer data that's in Rix, both the customer profile information and the purchase history, is available in ChatterSpot as well when it's enabled. So this all starts with entering the customer information at the point of sale. So what we have here is a screenshot of step 1 of ringing a sale in the RICS point of sale is to enter and collect the customer information. So on the screen, you can enter their profile information such as name, email, phone number, and address. Very important because then you're going to use that information down the road when you're trying to communicate with your customers. So we recommend that you train all your staff to make sure that they're not skipping this step and adding the customer information for every transaction. And so here you can see that we have both profile information that we've talked about that you can enter at the point of sale, but additionally RICS keeps track of purchase histories that you can use as basically activity for that customer so they're able to make relevant content to deliver based on their transaction histories. So I'll hand it over now to Bryant to introduce and give an overview of the ChatterSpot solution.
All right, thanks again, Patrick. All right, so let's take a quick high-level view of what ChatterSpot is. Ultimately, it is a marketing or communication platform. You can use it either way that you prefer. So let's look at a very standard purchasing framework. That's what these blue ribbons are that are on the screen. You have the purchase in the middle. Prior to a customer coming into your store and making a purchase, they need to have awareness and consideration about your brand, your products, your store location, all of that type of information. Once they know that, then they're able to come in and make a purchase, and afterwards we want them to keep coming back, which is the retention aspect, and ultimately we want them to become a brand advocate where they spread the word, share the love with their friends and family to help drive additional sales. So this entire process we call the customer journey, and ChatterSpot manages the customer journey. It manages the first 2 points through building a prospect database. We have 2 programs that will grow a prospect database for you. One is the customer acquisition program, and the second is an automated referral program where the system automatically has you or automatically messages your customers and gets them to refer your friends, their friends. So those are 2 pretty powerful platforms. We're not going to talk about those today. We're going to focus on engaging the current customers, which is what you see on the right side of the screen, which is the last 3 points of the customer journey, the purchase, retention, and advocacy aspects. So the way that we really handle that is through engaging your current customers. Those are the people that are already reside within the RICS point of sale. And we interface with those customers in 2 different ways, as you see on the screen at the bottom. The first is through automated lifecycle messaging, and the second is through on-demand campaigns. So we're going to go into a little bit greater detail in those 2 as we move through the slides. The 2 primary methods of communication that we use are email and text. We will be rolling out some social media in the next couple months here, but primarily it's email and text. Most oftentimes everyone's doing email, which is great. It's a very effective way to reach out to your customers. As you can see, our email open rate is 26%, which is 11% higher than our highest competitor. And there's a specific reason why our open rates are so much higher, and I'll get into that here shortly. But email is great, but what is completely just blows it out of the water is text messaging. I encourage you to really think about this. How many unread emails do you have on your cell phone compared to how many unread text messages do you have on your cell phone? Just think about that as a rhetorical question. Most oftentimes the response I get is, oh, I have 1,000 unread emails, but the amount of unread text messages is always 0. And it's because that's just how we are as people these days. We read our text messages. So from a business standpoint, if we want to get our message seen by our customers, the best way to get it seen and the quickest way to get it seen is to send it via text message. So if you're currently not using a text platform for your company, I really encourage you to take a second look at that, because it is by far the best way to communicate. You see the stat on the screen, 97% of texts are read within the first 4 minutes. It's very powerful. So why are the open rates so high? I would say the reason there's really two reasons. The first is due to the personalized nature of our messages, and the second is due to the timeliness of our messages. So I'll get into both of those as well. So let's talk about personalization first. So let's take a look at the text at the bottom right of the screen. This is a very typical text that your customers would receive from the ChatterSpot application. All the principles I'm going to talk about here hold true across texting and emailing. So let's read it. Hey Sarah, this is Kelly from ABC Running. Check out this video to see the perks of being one of our VIP members. So as you can see, we've automatically merged the variable data point of their first name into the message. We've also merged the name of the salesperson that they worked with. We would also merge the name of the store where they went to. Whatever data points you're collecting in RICS, we are able to merge into the message. So that helps to get a very personalized message. Now regarding text, there's a lot more that we can do with the text message rather than just 160 characters. We could do some pretty cool and innovative things. So you could send a video, you can include pictures or GIFs. Some great feedback we've gotten is on what we call a digital scratch-off. Think of it as like a lottery ticket. It's on the next slide here. So your customers would receive a text message with a link. They would simply click on the link and it would pull up in their phone, their web browser, and whatever the message says. So in this case, it's special gift to you this holiday season, rub the present below. They would simply use their finger and start to wipe off that image. And when they do that, the image beneath is going to appear. So it's just like a lottery, like a scratch and sniff sticker or a scratch lottery ticket. So the reason this has been so powerful is because one of the fundamentals of marketing is getting your customers engaged, getting them to act and do something. And honestly, these are extremely fun to do. So you cannot receive one and not wipe the image off and see what's underneath. So we found them to be extremely powerful and effective. So I think your customers will learn to like those as well. So there's quite a bit of customization we can do to those different messages. Now, this is a typical profile page for a customer. Patrick already talked about how to input first name, last name, email, etc. The reason I'm showing this is to show you that there's additional data points that aren't in RICS that we can collect in ChatterSpot to further be able to target and segment your customer database. So an example, if you want to send out a happy birthday message, we need to collect their birthday. We could do gender messages, male, female. This one's pretty interesting, and I'll jump into it a little bit further, but we collect how many miles they run per week. I'll explain that in a few minutes why, but there's a powerful reason why we would collect that information. Some other ideas of information you could collect, maybe you have store events or specific races that you sponsor, training programs. You know, people can subscribe to a particular email list, and those are the emails that they will receive. Over on the right, reasons for purchase. You know, we can customize this to have whatever fields that you would want. So there's a lot of customization that's available with ChatterSpot to really have it modified the way that you would like it. So simply the way that you get someone to opt in is their data is entered and you hit submit, and then the customer receives this text message on the left that says, please reply Y to confirm registration. The customer simply replies Y, and they've now opted in to an FCC compliant text database. Now you can begin to not only email but also text message your customers. So in addition to the filters or the other fields on that profile page, there's some other filters that we can apply to segment your customers. So if we want to eliminate people who purchased within the last 3 weeks or 2 months or something like that because you don't want to overbother them, then we could filter them out right there. If you want to target just people who live within a certain radius of your store, you could drill down there. Days before a birthday, inactive customers, if they didn't make a purchase for 6 months, then you can send them a particular message to entice them to come back in. This also is customizable, so there's all kinds of filters that we could apply here, whichever ones make most sense for your business. All right, so let's jump into the two different ways that we are going to interface with your customers. And like I mentioned earlier, the first is through automated lifecycle messaging. Now that word automated is key here. I want you to really focus on that. This means that no one on your team is going to do anything. No one has to log into the system and send a message or anything like that. These messages will be set up in onboarding. Takes us about a week to get set up. And then all of these messages will just go out behind the scenes. So let's look at some examples. The first one would be a welcome video. So right when they reply Y and opt in, they would receive a text message with a welcome video that says, hey, thank you so much for joining our VIP program. We really appreciate your business, blah, 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 whatever you'd like it to say. It's a great way to have more of a mom and pop feel and connect with your customer. Another automated message that would go out would be a survey. So this could be set up to go out the day after they make a purchase. It could be as simple as a true or false statement. They would just reply to the text T or F. It could be a multiple choice question where they simply reply A, B, C, or D. It could be a link to like a Survey Monkey where there's free form responses. So there's quite a few things we could do, but it's so powerful because you have instant feedback on the experience that your customers are having in your store. In addition to a survey, we could do a review. So maybe you use Yelp or Google Maps or Facebook reviews. Well, we could have a text sent to your customer with a link to your Google Maps page. All the customer does is click on the link and instantly they can leave you a review. That's a great way to build up your reviews, and that helps your SEO as well, getting more of your name out there. So next is a birthday message. We can automatically message them a week before their birthday or on their birthday, whatever you'd like. It doesn't have to have a promotion. It could just simply be a method of communication to, hey, happy birthday, we're thinking of you. Inactivity we kind of talked about. That one references if someone isn't coming into your store, someone hasn't come into your store to make a purchase for 90 days or whatever time frame you elect. The system will automatically message them inviting them to come back in with or without a promotion. Again, it's up to you. Shoe life cycle. So this is an interesting one that I briefly spoke about earlier. So we collect the data of how many miles does someone run per week. Well, we know that the average shoe lasts about 400 miles. So if someone says, oh, I run about 50 miles a week, then we know after 8 weeks their shoe should be expired and they need a new pair. So the system will automatically text them and say, hey, you're due for a new pair of shoes. So this is very powerful. It's a great way to stay in front of your customers and entice them to come back in. Another example is the automated referral program. This is simply where the system automatically messages your customer and says, we really appreciate your business, please refer your friends. And it's a very simple method of where they can put their friend's first and last name and cell phone number and click refer, and their friend receives a text message saying that they've been referred. And getting a promotion as well. So it's very simple. I can get into that more offline with those who are interested. So that's really the automated lifecycle messages. They're a series of touch points that automatically go out to every single customer. So what happens if there's a one-off message we want to send or a unique sales promotion? That's when we would want to launch an on-demand campaign. Think of it more ad hoc. This is where someone from your company would log into ChatterSpot and take 5 minutes to send out an email or text campaign. It's super easy to do. It's not rocket science at all. We tried to build it in a way that requires no training, so it's very intuitive and self-explanatory. So like I said, you could use this for new product launches, when new models of shoes come in. Maybe there's a holiday event. I know we just had Labor Day, so there's a bunch of we sent out lots and lots of on-demand campaigns for Labor Day. You can also use this just as a method of notification. So maybe you have different service opportunities or community events at your store or locally. It's a great way just to text your customer base and say, hey, we're doing this charity event at this library at this date. Come help out, come volunteer. It's a great way to keep in touch with your customers. We have a few wireless stores up in Wisconsin and Michigan who actually use ChatterSpot to do their hiring. So whenever they open a new store, they simply send out a text message to all the customers that live in that region, say we opened a new store at this address, click this link to apply. And they've actually hired several people just from their own customer base. They don't have to pay for hiring, those different softwares, Indeed or Monster.com. So it's been a great tool for them. So there's quite a few different ways that you could use the on-demand campaigns. It really just comes down to your creativity. So let's look at the steps to success for the ChatterSpot application. It really is very powerful if you do these 3 simple things. The first is opt people in, which is very simple. At checkout, the text message will automatically be sent to them, and they reply why, and you're done. It's very easy to do. Step 2 is launch campaigns. We recommend you launch 1 to 2 campaigns a month. And finally, step 3 is have good content. Everything that you see in blue is what myself and my team will do to help. We'll be there every step of the way. My slide jumped ahead there. Sorry about that. But really, it's that simple. If you follow those 3 steps, you will see a positive return with the ChatterSpot application. And I've seen it with several thousand customers that the ability to take advantage of the data that you have in your customers and market specifically to that will drive revenue. It definitely has. And I think the last thing I want to say is the integration that we have with Rix is so powerful because not only do we get customer data, but we also get purchase history. And so if you send out a campaign to 1,000 people, if someone comes in and makes a purchase during the next 7 days or 2 weeks or whatever time period you choose, that is recorded in ChatterSpot. And we can see, oh, we messaged 1,000 people, 50 people came in and made purchases that totaled $3,000. Wow, that campaign drove $3,000 in revenue. My marketing is working. Or that campaign drove nothing. Wow, that campaign didn't do good. What was my content like? How can I improve it to do better next time? So ChatterSpot has the ability to prove that it's either working or not working based off of the revenue that it's driving. So I think from a marketing standpoint, as a marketing manager, that's something extremely powerful to know that what I'm doing really is driving revenue. With that, Patrick, I'll pass it back to you.
Thanks, Brian. That was a really good summary of the ChatterSpot solution. So as we're wrapping up this webinar, we want to leave you with a few main points that we hope you take away from what we've talked about. The first is that personalized communication is essential to retaining customers and building loyalty within your customer base. And that's really important for retailers because repeat customers and loyal customers will spend more than new ones at a per visit basis, but then also over the lifetime of that customer. So Rix and ChatterSpot are really excited to work together and enable retailers to market to their customers effectively and drive sales. So we hope that you have enjoyed this webinar, and we would like to invite you to our next one. It's going to be later this month on September 21st. It's another co-presented webinar with Rix and RMSA about how to use pricing to maximize your profits. So if you are interested, we hope you are, you can register at rixsoftware.com/webinars.
Awesome. Thank you, Patrick. I want to take a second to thank Bryant and the rest of the ChatterSpot team for participating in today's webinar. As I mentioned earlier, we will be answering all questions via email following the webinar, so feel free to take down our presenters' emails here on the slide, send them additional questions, and we will also send out a recording of this webinar, so be sure to look for that in your inbox over the next couple of days. Thanks so much for joining us, and we hope you have a great day.